Peak English Podcast.
From Peak English with Class. Peak English Podcast. Hey English learners, welcome back to the Peak English Podcast, your cozy place to learn easy English through real-life conversations and improve your life at the same time. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Alex. And as always, we're really happy you decided to spend a little bit of your day with us. Before we start, a quick note. This is a B1 to B2 level episode. If you don't understand every word, just relax. You can always listen again.
Exactly. So let's start with our reflection challenge. Today, we want to ask you about the very last minutes of your day.
Yeah, the time right before you go to sleep. We want you to write a comment using a simple sentence.
Write this. I'm your name from your country, and today right before bed, I feel...
It can be anything. Happy, exhausted, peaceful, or maybe even a little bit worried. There are no right or wrong answers.
Honestly, Alex, if I wrote a comment today, it would say, I'm Sarah, and right before bed, I usually feel like I am burning out.
Oh, burning out. That is a very important phrasal verb. Let me explain that for our listeners. To burn out means to become completely physically and mentally exhausted from working too hard.
Exactly. For example, if you work 14 hours a day, you will burn out very quickly.
Are you working too hard, Sarah?
Well, my day is actually fine. I do my work, I talk to friends, I cook dinner. I feel totally normal.
But the feeling changes at night.
Yeah, the moment I turn off the lights, I feel this heavy, uncomfortable emptiness inside. Not sadness, not worry, just a feeling that something is off.
You know, Sarah, there is a very special moment in the day, but most of us overlook it. It is not the morning when you set goals.
Right, and it's not the daytime when we try to control everything. It is the evening, right before you fall asleep.
Exactly. When the outside world gradually grows quiet, your tired ego finally lets go. And then the unconscious begins to speak.
Wait, the ego and the unconscious? Those are big psychology words. Let's figure out what they mean.
Sure, to figure out means to understand something after thinking about it. For example, it took me a long time to figure out the rules of this game.
Perfect. So what exactly is the ego? Is it just my pride?
Not exactly. In the daytime, you live by one part of yourself, the ego. The ego helps you survive in this busy world.
Oh, I see. So the ego teaches me how to behave properly and how to keep my emotions at a manageable level.
Yes, thanks to the ego, you can work, communicate, and not get pulled too deeply into inner chaos. But the ego is a very strict controller.
What do you mean by strict? Does it hide things from me?
It has to. To maintain a stable image, the ego has to push aside what does not fit. Emotions that make you feel weak.
Oh. Or desires that make me doubt my life path. None of it disappears, right? It just gets pushed down below.
Exactly. In the daytime, you are so busy that you don't have to turn inward. Work, sounds, and information continuously cover the mind with noise.
Yeah, I am always doing something. But at night, as my energy runs out, the ego no longer has enough strength to maintain absolute control.
Yes, the ego does not collapse, but it lowers. And at that moment, the unconscious begins to have space to speak.
Honestly, that sounds a little bit terrifying. The unconscious feels like a dark, scary place.
Carl Jung, a very famous psychologist, didn't think so. He believed the unconscious is not a dark part that must be eliminated.
So it is the foundation of our entire psychological life? It contains the things we have never fully lived or understood.
Exactly. At night, when your social roles temporarily fall away, the unconscious begins sending signals, not to disrupt your life.
But to restore balance to who you are.
You got it. Let's look at people who are always seen as strong. In the daytime, they handle work neatly and rarely complain.
But at night, when they lie down, they struggle to sleep. There is no specific incident, yet they feel a heavy emptiness.
From Jung's perspective, that is a sign. The ego has been working too long, while other parts of the person have been completely neglected.
So the unconscious is trying to remind them that merely existing is not enough. But how does it speak? It doesn't use words, does it?
No, it does not speak in logic. It speaks through feelings, through fleeting images, and through old memories that suddenly return.
And if we don't pay attention, we will just brush it off as fatigue. Oh, brush it off is a great idiom.
Let's explain it. To brush it off means to treat something as if it is not important. For example, he insulted her, but she just brushed it off and walked away.
Exactly. We brush off these feelings because we are tired. But Jung said this moment before sleep is when the unconscious can reach you most clearly.
Yes, Jung once wrote, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate."
Wow. You will call it fate. That means if I don't understand my hidden feelings, they will control my choices, and I will just think it's my destiny.
Exactly, Sarah. You think you are choosing, but you are actually reacting to patterns formed a long time ago.
So in the daytime, the ego is like a thick pane of glass. It only allows proper, safe thoughts into our consciousness.
Yes, but at night, that pane of glass becomes thinner. What was hidden begins to appear.
The script we read used a beautiful metaphor here. It said we should imagine the mind as a lake.
Right. In the daytime, the wind blows constantly. The surface of the lake is always rippling with waves.
And because we only see the moving surface, we think that is the whole lake. But when night comes, the wind gradually calms down.
Yes, and the surface becomes smoother. That is when you begin to see what lies beneath the water.
Not because the bottom of the lake suddenly appears, but because for the first time, the water is still enough to reflect.
Exactly. The unconscious is always there. Only when the ego lowers do you get the chance to truly sense it.
That makes me feel much better. It doesn't appear to make me weaker. It appears so I can become more whole.
Yes, but this brings us to point number 2. What you carry into sleep will follow you into tomorrow.
Follow me into tomorrow? But I thought sleep just resets everything. Doesn't sleep erase my bad day?
No, sleep does not erase what you just lived. The night does not end your day. It extends that day into another form.
So the state of mind I have right before I close my eyes, it is carried much farther than I think.
Yes, because before sleep, you no longer have the energy to convince yourself that everything is fine. Your state is not arranged or rationalized.
And the unconscious takes in that very raw state as a foundation for tomorrow.
Exactly. In the daytime, you stay busy so you don't have to think. You keep going so you don't have to stop.
But the unconscious doesn't operate like that. For the unconscious, everything is one continuous stream.
Yes, what has not been emotionally closed does not disappear when you close your eyes. It only retreats deeper.
That is why many mornings begin with a heavy feeling that is hard to name. Nothing happened yet, but my heart already feels heavy.
Yes, that difference doesn't come from the new day. It comes from the state you carried over from the night before. Night and day are not separate.
They flow into each other continuously. That is a hard truth to accept.
Jung said that a dream is the small hidden door in the deepest and most intimate sanctum of the soul.
But a dream doesn't create a new state from nothing, does it?
No, it continues processing the exact state you carried into sleep. Whether you remember the dream or not, the work of the unconscious continues.
Wait, does the unconscious judge me? Does it think I am a bad person if I go to sleep angry?
No, the unconscious does not judge by moral standards. It only registers what is familiar.
Oh, I get it. If I often go to sleep in tension, the unconscious simply learns to operate in tension.
Yes, if you go to sleep with a sense of lack, the unconscious treats lack as your baseline state.
And the next day, it just continues maintaining that state. Not to make me suffer, but because that is the environment it is familiar with.
This is exactly why many people feel their lives just repeat over and over. In the daytime, they try to change and set new goals.
But at night, they still end the day with the exact same old feeling. They are working at the surface level, while the roots are still fed every night.
So the practice here is not forcing yourself to think positively. Jung did not believe in avoiding emotions.
Then what should we do? Just let the bad feelings win?
No, what you need to do is simply take a few minutes before sleep to create a truly quiet space. No phone, no distractions.
Okay, so I put my phone away. The room is quiet. What do I do in that space?
Just note one thing. What state is present inside me right now? And if you can, name it.
Like anxiety, exhaustion, emptiness, or calm? I shouldn't try to change it. I should just let it be seen exactly as it is.
Yes, Sarah, because when a state becomes conscious, it begins to lose its silent power over you.
I love that. I am no longer letting it automatically decide how I step into tomorrow. I am closing the day with awareness.
Exactly. This brings us to the third big point. The darkness appears only when you stop distracting yourself.
This is the hardest part for me. When I stop running from my feelings, the darkness comes. Thoughts I don't want to think.
Yes, parts of you that you try to sidestep in the daytime. To sidestep means to avoid dealing with a problem. Like, he tried to sidestep the difficult question.
Right. In the daytime, distraction is our survival strategy. Each time an uncomfortable feeling rises, we immediately find something else to look at.
But at night, the body slows down. The things that helped you run away no longer have the strength to pull you outward.
And when I stop running, what I left behind begins to catch up. The shadow.
Yes, the shadow. It wants to be brought into the light of consciousness, where it no longer has to control you from behind.
The script mentioned a Greek myth here, the story of Persephone.
Yes, Persephone was not pulled down into the underworld because she was weak, but because it was part of the cycle of life.
And only after spending time in the dark world below did she become a true queen, rather than just an innocent girl.
Exactly. Maturity only happens when we dare to step into unfamiliar regions of ourselves.
Even modern science agrees with this. When we stop stimulating the brain's default mode network begins to operate.
Yes, that is the system related to self-reflection and memory. When you stop distracting yourself, the brain automatically turns inward.
And what gets processed is usually not the pleasant things, but the unresolved problems. That is why people fear silence.
Yes, they fear doing nothing, because they know they will have to face something.
But Jung didn't want us to dig into the shadow by force, right? He didn't want us to torment ourselves.
No, he just spoke of stopping. When you stop, the shadow appears on its own. You just need to acknowledge it without judgment.
Just quietly recognize this too is a part of me. Even if it is envy, resentment, or a sense of not being enough.
Because behind every shadow, there is a need that has not been heard. When you stop distracting yourself, the shadow appears to be integrated.
It just wants to be brought into the light. If I feel anxious in silence, it is not a problem to fix. It is a message to listen to.
Beautifully said. And that leads to the fourth point. The last image of the day shapes the person you wake up as.
We mentioned earlier that the mind holds on to an image, but the unconscious doesn't use logical language, does it?
No, daytime consciousness likes to analyze and explain, but the unconscious speaks through images and symbols.
So right before sleep, when I am too tired to think logically, my unconscious places a background image in my mind.
Yes, it doesn't need to be specific, but it carries a distinct feeling. Notice this. Before sleeping, what image do you usually carry?
Sometimes I feel like a person who is always one step behind life. Or a person who is trying, but is just so tired.
The unconscious uses these images to create your attitude toward life. How you stand in life, how you see yourself in relation to the world.
It is like a negative template. Wait, what is a template again? Oh, it is a pattern used to shape something else.
Good memory. The last image is a template. When you wake up, every new experience will be printed onto that template.
But what if my template is bad? What if I always feel like I have to carry everything myself, just like your successful friend?
Then you must change the inner image. Jung believed that deep psychological transformation doesn't begin by changing your outside circumstances.
It begins by changing the inner image. When that image changes, my attitude toward life changes with it.
And you do not have to forcefully imagine a new, fake, positive image. You just have to recognize the image that is automatically appearing.
So I just ask myself quietly, what is this image saying about how I am living?
Yes, when an image becomes conscious, it begins to shift naturally. You are no longer shaped by it in a blind, vague way.
The last image is a very honest mirror, reflecting my relationship with myself. And the person I wake up with is shaped from that image.
Exactly. Which brings us to the fifth and final point. Each night is a silent step on the journey back to yourself.
The journey back to myself? Jung called this individuation, right?
Yes, individuation. It is the process by which a person gradually becomes themselves. Not the version accepted by society, but the most whole version.
And wholeness does not mean perfection. It just means I am no longer split into pieces. I am no longer pushing parts of myself into the shadow.
Exactly. And this journey does not happen through force. It happens through permission. Permission to stay with yourself in the moments no one sees.
Because in the daytime, I have to be someone. I have to hold my role at work. But at night, those roles fall away.
Yes, when there is no one to please, the person behind the roles finally has space to breathe.
But the journey is not loud. There is no big victory. It is like walking in thick fog. You cannot see far.
But each step takes you away from the old point. Even Jung himself went through this. He had a deep inner crisis.
Really? Carl Jung, the famous scholar?
Yes, in the daytime he was a respected scholar, but at night he faced intense dreams and emotions. Instead of avoiding them, he chose to stay with them.
He recorded them, drew them, and dialogued with his inner world. And he put it all in the Red Book.
Exactly. The Red Book is a map of the journey back inward. He moved through the darkness night by night.
So the journey back to yourself is not a journey upward toward success. It is a journey inward.
Yes, and the deeper you go, the more you realize you do not need to become someone else. You only need to stop moving away from yourself.
And the deepest integration happens when the nervous system is allowed to slow down, when it no longer has to react.
Jung said, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. Becoming yourself is removing layers that are not yours.
Removing roles worn too long. Each night, when I lie down with no goal to achieve, I move closer to my real self.
Yes. So, the practice is simple. Place one hand on your chest, breathe evenly, and give yourself a few minutes to stop.
Just feel the breath rising and falling. No need to adjust my state. Just stay still with what is present.
That full presence in silence is a real step. You may not see results right away, but you will begin to notice subtle changes.
I will respond more slowly to things that used to hurt me. I will strain less in familiar roles.
Yes, because you are no longer as far from yourself as you used to be. Your life is decided by how you end each day.
Wow, Alex, this conversation went really deep today. It is a lot to think about.
It is, Sarah. But remember, Carl Jung didn't want us to solve everything in one night.
That is so good to hear. Before we jump to our word tour, let's briefly summarize the tiny habits we discussed.
Great idea. We talked about 3 actionable steps to close your day with awareness.
First, stop distracting yourself. Just a few minutes before sleep, put the phone away and allow the space to be completely quiet.
Second, name the feeling. Be honest with yourself. Are you anxious? Empty? Just recognize it without judging it.
And third, the physical practice. Place one hand on your chest, feel your breath, and stay still with whatever is present.
Exactly. If you do these 3 small things, you are taking a real step on the journey back to yourself.
I am definitely going to try this tonight instead of mindless scrolling. I want to wake up feeling whole.
All right, everyone. Now it is time for my favorite part of the show, the word tour.
Yes, This is where we review the most important vocabulary and idioms from today's episode, so you can actually remember them.
Exactly. We selected 6 key phrases. For each one, we will explain it simply, give you 2 brand new examples, and then ask you to repeat it out loud.
Don't be shy. If you are alone in your room, say it loudly. It really helps your speaking skills. Let's start.
Word number 1 is burn out.
To burn out means to become completely physically and mentally exhausted from working too much.
Right. It happens when you don't take time to rest. Here is our first new example. Example number 2. She loved her job, but the long hours caused her to burn out.
Okay, now it is your turn. Repeat after me. Burnout. Burnout.
Great job. Let's move on to phrase number 2. Figure out.
To understand something or solve a problem after thinking about it carefully.
Yeah, like when we tried to figure out what the ego is. Here is example number 1. Example 2. It took him years to figure out what he wanted to do with his life.
All right, your turn. Repeat after me. Figure out. Figure out.
Well done. Phrase number 3 is push aside.
To push aside means to refuse to accept something, like an emotion, or to ignore a problem.
Yes? We talked about how the ego has to push aside feelings that make you feel weak. Let's hear example 1. Example 2. You shouldn't push aside your health problems. You need to see a doctor.
Try saying it with me. Repeat after me. Push aside. Push aside.
Perfect. Now, phrase number 4. Brush it off.
This is a very common idiom. To brush it off means to treat something as if it is not important at all.
Yes, usually to pretend that you are not hurt by something. Here is the first example. And example 2. When her friend made a rude joke, she tried to brush it off, but she was upset.
Your turn now. Repeat after me. Brush it off. Brush it off.
Awesome. Phrase number 5 is sidestep.
To sidestep means to avoid dealing with a problem or answering a difficult question.
Literally, it means to step to the side. We use it when we talk about avoiding our shadows. Let's give them example 1. Example 2. You can't sidestep your financial problems forever. You have to pay your bills.
Okay, say it with me. Repeat after me. Sidestep. Sidestep.
Fantastic. And our final phrase for today, number 6, toss and turn.
To toss and turn means to move around constantly in bed because you cannot fall asleep.
Right. It happens when the unconscious mind is keeping you awake. Here is the first example. Example 2. He was tossing and turning because he was worried about the exam.
Last one. Give it your best. Repeat after me. Toss and turn. Toss and turn.
Wonderful job, everyone. You made it through the word tour.
We really covered some intense but beautiful concepts today. I feel like I understand myself a little bit better.
Me too. Remember, change is not a loud breakthrough. It is a quiet process. Just try to be honest with yourself tonight.
Thank you all so much for spending this time with us. Whether you are cooking dinner, commuting on the train, or already in bed, we appreciate you.
We really do. This podcast is a safe space, and we are so grateful to be on this journey with you.
If you enjoyed today's episode, please hit that like button and make sure to subscribe so you don't miss our next chat.
And don't forget to leave your reflection challenge answer in the comments. We love reading them.
Until next time, take a deep breath and be kind to yourself. This is Sarah, and this is Alex. You've been listening to the Peak English Podcast. Bye!
Your progress doesn't end here. To continue advancing your Speak English skills, click on the next video or explore the additional videos we've thoughtfully selected for you.